Drew, catch up a little bit. Tonight is Monday, the 15th of July. It is 7:01 p.m. This town council meeting will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll stand and remove your covers, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like everyone to please remain standing. Had some tragedy over the weekend. It doesn't matter what political party you're with or not, what you believe or you don't. But there's several lives affected through this tragedy. So I'd like to just have a moment of silence for that, and also remind people that we are people. We're human. We all bleed red blood. We all care. We're all passionate. We're in this together. And I think that it's very important to remember that. Remember why we're here. So with that, we'll enter a moment of silence. Please be seated. Thank you. All right, so we'll open up with public comment. I think Chief Bernard, you want to roll in?
Yeah, let's go.
Roll into your order real quick. Sit down, stand up, sit down.
No, we're going to stand. So, good evening, Town Council, citizens in the room. I'm pleased to introduce to you two new members of the Londonderry Police Department effective today. So I'd like to take a moment and introduce you. To my left right here is Phil McPherson. Phil has 4 years of full-time experience with a local police department. He is a New Hampshire resident. Fun fact about Phil, he and I both started our law enforcement careers as Marine Patrol officers. So that's kind of a nice little fun fact for he and I to share going forward. To his left is Chance Spinney. Chance Spinney comes to us as well, certified New Hampshire law enforcement officer with 5 years experience, served in the Hampshire National Guard, and he also worked part-time as well before his full-time enlistment at his prior PD. Why I do this is to show and to echo what I've been saying all along since day one. These two fine men could have picked any one of the over 200 law enforcement agencies in New Hampshire. Any one of them. Any one of them, I'm happy to have them. They chose us. They chose your community. They chose to work for the men and women of LPD. So once again, as I said several months back, when we had 5 people we brought here, here's 2 more fine examples. We are doing something right. Your support helps us in recruiting, and I want to thank you all for taking the moment and the time that it takes to hear us bring these people forward to you. We know you have a busy agenda, and I want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to introduce these 2 fine men. So, gentlemen, if you could, just make your rounds up there, introduce yourself, and say hello.
Welcome, glad to have you.
Thank you.
Glad to have you.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for your service to our community and to our state. So thank you.
So, Chief, was one of them going to the academy?
No, they're both certified.
They're both certified?
They both are.
Oh, just checking. Thanks for saving us money.
No kidding. We're not one to brag, but let's just call it 300,000.
Just wanted to point that out.
Hey, we're about saving. We're about helping out. I just want to say again, thank you very much. We appreciate it. As you guys know, we're working on our numbers to the PD. We're currently, I believe, at 61 or 62 of the 67, so we're getting there. We have some more inquiries as we speak. So we're going to entertain some more certifieds in the next week or two. So I'll be back. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're in public comment.
Mr. Chair, can I open public comment?
Absolutely.
This committee asked me at the last meeting to contact Beautify Londonderry. So I met up with Joy, and the committee was very understaffed, basically March, April, May. In April and May, they weren't even able to have a meeting because we didn't have enough members. So between the town council and Beautify Londonderry and the volunteers, we now have 5 full-time staff members, and we have 1 alternate, and we have 1 alternate opening. So now the committee has fully staffed and can get back to work. So right now, they are planning on having one fall cleanup in the fall. They are also going to see how this might work out. They're going to try to have 2 depot stations. They're considering a depot station at the library where they would have a vest, gloves, a picker, and you could kind of check it out of the library, pick trash at any time you wanted, and return it to the library. That's one of the options they're looking at. Or they may have a depot here at Town Hall where you could come and pick up the stuff and check it out. So that people that wanted to pick in July or August, they could pick any time they wanted during the year. We're always looking for more volunteers. So if anybody would like to volunteer, they're always looking for that. But as of right now, the committee is back to staff. They're planning on having one fall cleanup and getting back to having hopefully 3 cleanups in April. So hopefully we're going to be back the way it used to be. So that's the update I have at the moment.
Awesome, thank you. Is there anyone else for public comment? All right, seeing none,
Mr. Chair, if I could, I would like if the council could have an open public discussion about the warrant articles that we've discussed, and just identify the next steps to that. I think, we've had our time to talk about them, and I think the people that voted for these, we need to be able to have at least a next step. So if we could have a discussion on that, I would be grateful.
Do you want me to tell you traditionally how it would be handled, or do you just
Yeah.
want to talk about it?
We can either or, just to.
So generally, what's been the past practice is that, when we start to go into budget season in like late September, we start giving direction to the town manager of what we're looking to see going forward. Since these warrant articles will have a legal cost tied to them. So, and again, as I've stated in the past, I'm not against opening the charter, but I've gotten estimates from legal that it could be upwards of $50,000 to go through the whole process. So generally what happens is and another thing is we don't usually do it during the summer because everybody's on vacation, they're not paying attention. So once people are back in school and it's mid-September, late September, generally the council will start talking about like what's the budget season look like? What are the warrant articles that we are looking for? What do we need help from the state from? And we start generally asking all those questions. That's traditionally how it's been done. It's worked pretty well. I thought that was probably what was going to happen anyway.
Okay.
But that's generally the process if we follow the past practice. I mean, and again, we can go through it and you can make a decision, yay, nay, do it, don't do it, accept citizens' petitions. But by the time we go to budget overview on a Saturday morning in November, you sort of have a pretty good idea of what they're going to present and what the whole package starts to look like. And unlike these citizens' petitions, which had no public hearings, then you would have public hearings, and you would get input from everyone about okay, well, what do you want to do, and listen to those things. It may not be fast enough for some people, or may not be what some people would be looking for, but it is the way the past practice has worked. That's just one suggestion.
Yeah. And I think with that information, I think, we have public comment at the beginning of these where people are able to come and speak, and if that's not a good enough process, they can speak on that, or we can, do you guys have any other thoughts on that?
I'm not objecting to it at all. I mean, I just follow the.
No.
Yeah.
I think that was good information for the public too, to be able to hear.
and I think referencing, did you want to say
Go
something?
ahead.
I think referencing the town manager's memo that he had produced a couple meetings prior regarding on how to open the charter and such. Regardless of that, if I understand your memo correctly, it has to go on a town ballot. Is that correct?
Correct, and depending on whether it's a charter amendment or a charter revision, you're talking about potential. The warrant article differs, or
Yeah.
the warrant articles differ. If you're talking about opening the charter, so to speak, or revising the whole charter, then you're electing a charter commission, and it triggers this years-long process. If you're talking about amending discrete aspects,
At least 2 years.
2 years, because you're electing that commission that's going to serve until the next election. The charter, whatever, and the charter commission could come forward and say, we don't need any changes. But whatever changes they recommend then go on the ballot. And so, yeah, you're talking close to 2 years before those changes would take effect. So,
Or you could put the question on the ballot asking if they want to do it, and then if they want to do it, you can elect a charter commission. So that's why it all starts to cost a lot of money.
correct.
And I think that one thing that you had publicly brought up is there was a couple things that you felt that like didn't need to be a charter amendment and stuff. And to that point, I think I recall you recently briefing me at least, and the council about your efforts on recording the meetings. To in fact, even our most recent meeting that was right prior to this was recorded and will be broadcasted delayed, but it was video recorded as well.
Yes, and so, as I've stated publicly before, since I took over, I've been generally supportive of recording as many meetings as possible. Since the ballot vote in March, I've taken that as additional support for the policy that I've been pursuing. And as the council knows, we're pretty much recording everything that comes along at this point. I'm not going to say that there isn't a spare meeting that maybe is missed or what have you, but to your point, Mr. Chair, we recorded traffic safety for the first time in my memory just before this meeting tonight. I can tell you that one of the authorities that I have as town manager is to control town facilities, and I can tell you that for as long as I'm serving as town manager, if public meetings are happening in a town facility, they're going to be recorded going forward. So you can amend the charter to say that if you'd like to, but that's what I'm going to be doing going forward.
Thank you.
Any other input? Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that was good. I want to get people more information on this
Yep.
so that they know. I mean, we can have conversations, but just so, people can see
Process.
this and hear it and process what's going on. So thank you for that.
And thank you for the efforts from the town staff for heading in that direction.
Thank you for the council's support. It wouldn't be possible without the council's support.
Okay. Anything else from the public? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. All right, resignation of Jim Lucelle from the Recreation Commission.
Motion to accept.
A
Second.
motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes in the affirmative. Thank you very much, Jim, for your dedicated service to our community, and we wish you the best. Interviews for Heritage and public appointments of the Demolition Review Committee. So,
Point of order.
if I can, real quick, or is it all right?
It's okay with me.
It was brought to my attention right before the meeting. I think this is what Councilor Farrell's point of order is going to be. That the Demolition Review Committee was disbanded many years prior. John, I know you have
Slight correction. I don't know if it was ever disbanded. It was
dissolved.
just left open.
Okay.
But go ahead.
So with that, I think I personally have some concerns about appointing people without an updated charge and stuff. I'm not speaking for the whole council, just for me personally. Do you want to present on that? Do you have someone to present on that, or
So, Kirsten, if you're comfortable speaking to that, the only thing I will say is I believe that there are some aspects of this that may appear in the zoning ordinance.
Yes. So the Demolition Review Committee, it's established by Zoning Ordinance 9.3, which states certain specific conditions which would activate the review by the Demolition Review Committee. So, the Demolition Delay Committee predates my time, but the Demolition Review Committee exists statutorily in town through Zoning Ordinance 9.3.
okay?
It lists several conditions under which the Demolition Review Committee should be employed, and it lists 4 specific criteria.
So there's triggers.
Yes, that would enact it. And once those triggers take place, there's 5 business days to get the information to the Demolition Review Committee. So it's actually, if you go under Planning and Economic Development, under Departments. Yeah, okay.
So have these conditions just not occurred yet in a long time that we haven't heard from this committee?
I can't speak to that specific thing. My joking line around town council is that around town hall is that I'm everybody's favorite compliance killjoy. So I was asked to look into the Demolition Review Committee, and no, Sue, that's okay. Thank you.
Tell them that.
Nope. So I was asked to look into this and was asked to help reconstitute it. It was posted 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And so you can see there, it requires at least 3 members, 2 alternates, at least 2 need to be Heritage Commission members, and 1 needs to be an at-large member of the public. Those are the criteria which would make demolition fall under this ordinance. And then 9.3.3 gives the 4 triggers, the beginning of 9.3.3, which is basically application for a demolition permit. Ooh, can you go back the other way? Thank you. A building permit involving demolition, a site plan review with demolition, or formal written application for demolition. So as you can see there, that once that happens, you have 5 business days to do certain things. So it makes sense to have it constituted, and their charge is laid out within this zoning ordinance.
So who brought this up? I mean, because it hasn't come up in years, and we've been demoing buildings all over town.
So I think that there is likely to be a review at the Heritage Committee next week regarding the barn structure at Tulich Field. And so whatever the outcome of that is, the council should be aware that the Heritage Commission has some authority at least over that structure. The council has other authority over that structure. I think that the suggestion is to have this committee in place to give the community and the council maximum flexibility to respond to any authorization or request to demolish a structure at Tulich Field. I'm not saying that you want to exercise that authority, but I'm saying that we don't have anybody appointed to it, and the next council meeting isn't occurring until after the Heritage Commission meeting.
So let's say we didn't look into this and we didn't have it, and it came in front of the Heritage Commission. What would happen?
I would have to ask legal that scenario. I think that
Because we didn't know it existed,
right.
And, and we didn't have it. So and there, other things have been demoed.
Correct. It's a. My understanding is it is the town does not have to choose to invoke it. In other words,
That's what I'm trying to get to.
correct. So it doesn't necessarily follow that there would be some action by the Demolition Review Committee, but without a constituted committee, there will not be action.
Feels messy.
The council can always hold a special meeting if needed to fill the committee if the occasion arises as well.
Whenever we rush into something, we always seem to get it wrong.
Yeah.
I'm indifferent.
I've been doing it for 15 years. Do you want me to come up?
Go ahead. Come on up.
Okay.
And just your name and address, please.
Oh, here. Sue Jodrey, 23 Peabody Road. So I've been doing it. I started with, I don't know how many there were, 5, 6 of us, I guess, and I cut down to just me. So I've been doing it alone 12, 15 years, maybe. I'm on the Heritage. Been there 15 years, historical 30 years, and a native of town. So I've been doing it by myself. And then Libby sent me the rules or whatever of it, and when and how to call a public meeting and do the 30-day delay. So she sent me all that.
So, Mr. Town Manager, thank you very much.
Yeah, all done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
So, Mr. Town Manager, so if I hear you correctly, the request is to fill the remaining vacancies on this, the demolition review committee, there are 4 criteria or triggers, or there's triggers that essentially would allow the town some more maneuverability to exercise what is the powers that are given to us by statute and by ordinance. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And essentially tonight, I mean, I agree with John. I mean,
Like I said, I'm indifferent to it, so
Yeah.
whatever you guys want to do.
Just a quick question. Does this committee have 2 members currently? It says on the sheet here that David and Sue.
So those are up.
Sue is here.
Yeah.
So those are up for so I put those on there for confirmation. So in doing my research, the records I found for the demolition delay committee suggested that it had been held formal meetings twice in the past decade, once in 2014 for 48 Perkins Road and once in 2019 for 5 Chase Road.
Okay.
At those times, I currently do not have, the only person for whom I have an oath is Sue, but it's from before when she was on the Heritage Commission. So I currently don't have any members oathed appropriately for their slot.
Okay.
So in 2019, Sue and David took their role on the 5 Chase, and they are the current members of the Heritage Commission. I spoke with Chris Kenny, and he suggested that if they were happy to continue in that role, that he was happy to have them do so. And then 2 weeks ago, we posted for members of the public, for which we received 1 application.
The other thing I will say, Mr. Chair, is that, and some people may disagree with me, but it's my view that this is a committee of exceedingly limited jurisdiction. It has authority to essentially pause a pending demolition for 30 days, nothing more. And so while that 30 days may be valuable, if there's a surprise demolition of a structure that the community feels strongly about, I think that that there isn't a concern about this committee going rogue or doing things that it shouldn't be doing, because it essentially has one power or authority under our zoning ordinance and under statute, and that is to hit pause for 30 days on a demolition permit.
So is there any, I guess, anything that, if we don't do anything tonight, is there anything that legally that can come back on us as a council?
No, I would say no, because there isn't, the Heritage Commission hasn't approved anything at 2 Litchfield in terms of modifications or demolition. And as I said, if that occurs and the council feels that something needs to be done about it, the council can hold a meeting on 24 hours notice, form this committee, and essentially do what is able to be done anyway.
So I'm sorry, so who's on, so right now,
We have Sue.
with Sue and David, right, would Sue and David go on to this
So
committee?
town council appoints, those are the 2 members of Heritage who are up for confirmation by the council. According to 9.3.1, the members are appointed by town council. Those were the ones suggested by Heritage. It has to be among the Heritage Commission members.
Okay, and then what is it, then is it 1 person at large?
1 person at large with 2 alternates. We only received 1 applicant for those 3 slots.
So my question would be is, and I'm trying to draw on some past information, the Heritage Commission can only have 1 member of the planning board serving on it.
Yes.
This is a subcommittee of the Heritage Commission. Does that same law apply?
It's not a subcommittee of the Heritage Commission per se. So right there, so the outlines in the Demolition Review Committee under the definitions.
I think it's
Yeah.
a committee appointed by the town.
Yes.
A committee created by the zoning ordinance.
By the town
So it's
council.
not
By
a
the town
subcommittee
council.
of the Heritage Commission?
No, it's stipulated in the zoning ordinance that it contain at least 2 Heritage Commission members.
So, Sean, what do you got to say?
The thing with this that just makes me nervous is going quick. I don't know that any of us up here are prepared to make a snap decision, but it's not something I think the consequences of it are low. So I'm kind of indifferent. It makes me a little nervous, but
Yeah. May I propose to the council, why don't we conduct the interviews? And then if needed, we could have a non-emergency meeting. Is it an emergency meeting? I could call a,
So,
Yeah,
what's the term of the appointment?
It is not stipulated. So when we had posted it, we posted it as ad hoc, as the council determines for terms, until
So
people
we can make
resign.
it for 30 days so that we can get past this next piece and then figure it out after that.
You certainly could do that, yes. You can make appointments for any length of
Just
time
looking
that
for
you would like.
solutions.
You can make it for 30 days, for 90 days, for whatever 90 days would get you through the summer session, whatever you guys want.
I'm
Yeah.
amenable to that.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So, what do you need from us? So I know we have the interview for someone who wants to be on this. Do you need like a vote for 30 days to charge?
I need a vote when you appoint them for their term.
Okay.
Why don't we make this easy? Why don't we see if we can try to make this easy?
Yeah.
Why don't I just make a motion to appoint David, Sue, and the one applicant is Ann Champa?
Yes.
David, Sue, and Ann Champa for the next 90 days.
All right. So I have a motion from John.
I'll second that.
Second from Ron. All in favor? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Please see the town clerk to be sworn in.
Yeah. And then we can educate and step through this.
So, and real quick, if I can, I think I might address your question. And if I don't, you can come up. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna stand up the demolition committee. You just need to be sworn in by the town clerk. And then it's for a period of, as John said, 90 days. And that'll allow the council some time to process, do some research, and then, maybe give a new charge. Did that answer what your question was? So you,
I just want to interview, because I was involved with the last demo delay.
I don't
You
see-
called it.
and I'm, right,
I
and
just-
my point is,
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a need to interview because we had already you are appointed, you are on the demolition review committee as of right now. You just need to be sworn in.
Right, but if you're talking about Two Litchfield Road also,
No.
We're not.
We're not.
okay.
Is that okay? That sound good? We just need you to swear in. You're already on the committee. We're not discussing the Two Litchfield as of right now. I think there's some information that your committee now will process and gather for the council, and I think that time might be a better time to present. Sound good?
Okay, I've been down this road before.
Yeah.
On numerous buildings in town,
There's no doubt.
and not just barns, but I just wanted to mention that. So, if
And-
you have any questions,
Yep.
you can also ask me also.
Thank you very much, Ann, and congratulations. All right. Anyone else? Moving on. So, Mike, that was it for that agenda item.
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, sir. Confirmation of planning board nominee to a one-year alternate position on the Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission, Mr. Town Manager. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this, on this item, and Kirsten will correct me if I'm wrong on this, the planning board recommended Captain Patrick Cheatham following interviews. Do I have that right? Yep. At the planning board last week, and I believe Patrick stepped out, but he is the recommended seat on that Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission. I believe it's an alternate position.
So you just need a vote for confirmation?
That's correct. It's the council's seat, essentially.
Motion to confirm?
All right,
Second.
I have a motion from John, a second from Ron. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes in the affirmative. Please see the town clerk to be sworn in. Yes. Cheers.
It can't hurt.
Couldn't hurt. All right, thank you. New business. Presentation and approval to move Community Choice Aggregation Program Plan to New Hampshire Public Utilities Commission. We have the Utilities Committee Chair, Mr. Lynn Wiles. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, councilors, Mr. Town Manager. My name's Lynn Wiles. I'm the chairman of the Londonderry Utilities Committee. With me tonight is Stuart Ormsby. Stuart is a vice president of Power Supply Strategies at Colonial Power Group, our chosen partner to move forward with the Community Aggregation Program. We're here tonight. We've been here a few times over the last few months. The last time we were here, we had a public hearing. We had the first of two public hearings to describe what the program is, to solicit public input. Since then, we had a second public hearing on a Saturday morning here in the Moose Hill Conference Room. We had a number of people show up. It was a nice turnout, and we had a number of people ask questions, and I think everybody went away satisfied. With that behind us, we now have an updated program plan. The program plan should have been in your packet. I supplied it to Cameron last week. And it was updated just to reflect the dates of the public hearings. And basically, we're here tonight to answer any questions you may have and to ask for your approval to submit, for me to sign the plan and submit it to the Public Utilities Commission.
All right, going to the council.
I attended the meeting on Saturday. I don't have any questions. I'm satisfied. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
I was also at the meeting, and it was a good meeting, well attended, asked good questions, and I think everyone was satisfied. I agree with Lynn.
I'm well aware of this program. Like I said, I've used similar things myself. I think with the Eversource rates going the way they are recently and all the talk around that, this is very timely. So I'm glad, and the community was sufficiently satisfied with everything they had to say. Great, perfect.
Interesting that you bring that up. I actually called Eversource today to find out to get an actual rate. And if I have this right, I think it's going to be 1040. So it's going from 8258 to 1040 or 104 something. So when I was speaking to the Eversource person, I said, okay, so that's 20%. She gave me all the other 695, this, but I said, okay, so it's, at the end of the day, it's 20%, August 1st. So I finally did get a rate out of her. It took a couple of calls to get a rate, though.
All right, so I'll accept the motion to, is there a wording that we need?
Yes, there is, as a matter of fact.
So we did have a suggested wording. I don't know if that made it to the council or not.
If not,
Does the chair of the utility commission have the authority to sign the document going to the public utility commission?
No. That would be me.
so
I don't mind if he signs. I mean,
So you have the authority to sign it?
correct.
Okay.
So then the
He certainly
motion-
would have apparent authority if the council says, yeah, go ahead and sign it, and then, we send it into the PUC. Not that fine of a point, but I think probably, yes, to answer your question, I'm the one who would.
So if I make a motion to ask the council to authorize the town manager to sign the community choice aggregation plan for presentation to the PUC.
Perfect.
Does that
I'll
work?
second that.
All right, so I have a motion from John, a second from Ron. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes in the affirmative. Good, proceed. Thank you.
And just as kind of a quick reminder, right now, I think optimistically, we're looking at Q4 for our program rollout, probably Q1 2025, looking more realistically. But moving down to the next step, thank you all. Mike, I'll get that document to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you for the hard
and the
work.
committee for the hard
Yeah,
work and the due
absolutely.
diligence.
Great.
Very much
Thank
appreciated.
you for your support.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, next, Gilcrest Road traffic update. So just a little history of that as the chairman of the planning board and one of the members comes forward. Last council meeting, the assistant town manager had addressed an item that the planning board had discussed at their meeting. Essentially was the traffic regarding Gilcrest. When that was presented to the council had pushed that back to the planning board as, all right, provide, help us come up with a solution which they had at their last meeting, from my understanding. I don't want to take away from your presentation, gentlemen. Additionally, prior to this meeting at 5:30, or during the 5:30 Traffic Safety Committee, Mr. DeFrancisco presented or spoke as a resident, but not on behalf of the planning board, regarding traffic on Gilcrest. So with that, if I left anything else, gentlemen, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I was going to come in and basically say what you just said and then introduce Mr. DeFrancisco to fill in the blanks here, so thank you very much. I think really the only thing missed was, not necessarily missed, but how did we get here, started through a conversation on a site plan for Gilcrest Road, and we were looking at conditioning a stop sign through the site plan. Town staff did advise against that. I'm sure Mike can explain a little bit better than I would as to the reasoning behind it. And we ultimately came and said, well, okay, what can we do? And that brings us here tonight.
And if I can pause real quick, just as a reminder to the public and those who are watching, the council does have the reason why we're following this process is because the council has the authority to really close any road, open any road, make any changes or anything. So that's why we're here tonight. So thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry for interrupting.
No, not a problem. With me, Mr. D.
Thank you all. Tony DeFrancisco, 1 Cheshire Court. I am on the planning board. I am now speaking as a planning board member. Previous meeting an hour ago, I was not.
You're always a planning board member.
Always a planning board member, correct. So,
You don't get to pick and choose.
So just to be clear and totally set the table, it needs to be understood that the planning board had a meeting a month ago or so, which approved 2 major projects for South Gilcrest Road. At that meeting, there were more than a dozen residents of that area, Tokenel and Ross. More than a dozen. Tonight at Traffic Safety, there were a couple, including Senator Carson, who also lives on Tokenel Road, gave testimony at the traffic study meeting. So they were visibly upset for the fact that these 2 huge projects were going to be built. Unfortunately, as a planning board, we can only do so much based on state regulations and our local codes and regulations. So a planning board, for example, for the general public, cannot say, sorry, we don't like it, we're going to say no. Planning board can't do that. It has to be based on state law, local rules and regulations, and there's also a concept of the landowner, who, don't forget, is a taxpayer, has rights as well. Those rights include having to follow the local rules and regulations. If they're putting in a project, meets all the rules and regulations, the planning board really has no choice but to approve, okay? So now that I've set that table, we're in a situation where I promised that dozen people that I would follow up and go to the traffic study, and I did. And then also at a subsequent meeting, there was a discussion by the planning board. If you remember, we sent you folks as the decision makers. The planning board set a unanimous vote to look at South Gilcrest Road. You all sent it back to the planning board and said, give us a suggestion. What do you want to do? There was another vote taken. It was also unanimous. This time it was for a 4-way stop at Gilcrest, Tokenel, and Charleston. Thank you. And so that was the suggestion that was given. Now I want to be clear that you all have the authority to accept, reject, or change and modify. And it's easy for you to do that because the planning board already tried to say to you, we want you to look at it and come up with some solutions. You rejected that the first time because you needed a little bit more help. So the planning board, in its wisdom, did that. They chose that four-way. It's a natural 90-degree four-way. There's some problems with it, just like everything else. And it's also, I want to be clear too, traffic is going to be traffic. You can't stop the traffic. It was mentioned tonight that a lot of that traffic is probably, and I think that's a good guess, I didn't say it, a member of the general public did, a lot of that traffic is pass-through traffic. You can't stop it, but you can try to control it. At the previous meeting, I said it, and I'm going to say it again. I don't have a degree in engineering. I don't have a degree in traffic, but I have a PhD in common sense. And I know for a fact that if you put in a four-way stop sign, cars are gonna stop if there's other cars there. I live on a three-way stop area, and I'm not gonna say who it is, but a member of my family might roll through that if there's no other cars. I might have been in the car when that happened.
I might have been driving when that happened.
No?
That would be called
for
an
the-
enforcement issue.
For the record, I was not the driver, and it was not the red car, Chief. So the point here is the situation is bad. Those folks cannot get out of those two roads and take a left to go north. They can't do it. Whether or not the traffic is going fast, too fast or not, in this board member's opinion, is not really the issue. What is the issue is having the ability to be able to take the left because the car on your left stopped. And I think any reasonable person would say that's safer than if there was no stop sign there. Now, where do you want to put that stop sign? Do you want to put it at that natural four-way? Do you want to put it at Ross instead? Do you want to put it, and by the way, we're probably going to be back again. I'm not going to speak for the whole board, but there's going to be another natural four-way stop when the new development goes in on the west side of Gilcrest Road. That's the Apple Orchard side. There's going to be a natural four-way that's built there. There could be another good spot to stop traffic so people can get up the hill, or in that case, coming from the other side of the road, be able to go down the hill to merge in. So that's where we're at. There's I know at least one person from the general public who, I don't know if this is a public hearing or not, that would want to speak. If it's not, that's okay too, because there was ample time to chat at the traffic study committee. But certainly, if you have any other questions, if you're trying to understand the intention of the planning board, if you're trying to understand the nature of what the folks in that area are experiencing, I can answer that because we were at the meeting and listened to more than a dozen people, which is a lot for a planning board meeting. So that's where we're at.
Thank you. Mr. Town Manager, if you may be willing to pull up the GIS map, please, and just kind of show that intersection of Tippecanoe and Charleston, just so we as the council and the general public can kind of have a little better idea of exactly what the planning board is discussing. Okay, so that's, and again, I was present for the presentation during the planning board, the traffic safety. I watched the planning board conversations.
So I will say that I will admit that that's a little bit misleading. If it's okay, I'll come over here. It's misleading because that's uphill a lot. Some of the testimony, John was at the first meeting tonight. He said it's a 6% grade coming down the hill. This is going up the hill, corner. The road does bank off to the side where your car can say hi to that hydrant and the street sweeper that's right there, if you're not careful. The Ross Drive is a lot flatter. Thank you. The Ross Drive is a lot flatter, but again,
So-
it's a natural 90-degree four-way.
So there was presentation, again, there's presentation at the planning board meeting, presentation at traffic safety committee meeting. Council, what do you want to do?
Let me ask Mr. Wally a question.
Please.
Dave? If we asked you to put a stop sign going east and going west on Gilchrist, how long would it be before it happened? Let's say we said yes to do it tonight. When could it happen?
North and south. North and south.
Yeah, no, on Gilchrist.
On Gilchrist going north and south.
I'm sorry, I was thinking Tokeno.
Well, we have stop signs in stock,
Right,
and
I'm just,
we have paint.
my
but
brain was doing something.
If directed, I mean, if directed to do so, well, we can make it happen in a week. But
How long do, I do have more of a.
you have to also, though, that could be, the things should be in place. We'd have to bag them. We'd have to put out, the ample notification and put out the message boards. That
I understand.
usually a 2-week notification is usually at least 10 days, but 2-week notification is
But
pretty
this
typical.
is not a heavy lift.
No.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief?
Love me or hate me, here it comes.
Chief,
Sir.
what would be the initial education and enforcement plan?
Well, I'll get to that one in a second if you don't mind. Can I just say, the reason why this has always been an issue, it's a cut-through. People are coming off the highway, they're going back to Windham or South Londonderry. They skip 102, they rip down there, take a right on South Road, fly down there, bang a left on Chase, and they're home free. They skip all the intersections. So I think if you're gonna do this, and I'm no engineer, I'm no Dave Woolley or John Trottier, but I think that anything is better than nothing, right? When Mr. DeFrancisco talks about his PhD in engineering.
It was common sense.
No, but you have a good, it's clear to me, engineering's your thing too. I think this would help with people rushing. I think they'd probably keep them on 102. I think the issue, as was already established earlier, we're gonna have accidents here with the vehicles in the wintertime coming down the hill. I think at the last meeting when you guys were there presenting, or the developer was presenting, the gentleman on the corner of Tokeno across from the cemetery was saying the same thing. He can't go to his mailbox. We got Boston and Albany. I think the North Mammoth Road section is working. I know not everybody's in favor.
That'll be my next question.
Yep, I think that, you know what, if you live there, you'll love it. If you're a commuter, you hate it. We're not gonna please everybody. We heard that tonight. And unfortunately, the decisions that are made rest upon you gentlemen. I would be okay with it. I think the police department could enforce it. And again, I think this is a cut through. It is what it is. They're coming down this way to avoid going down 102. They don't want to wait, so they rip down this road. We know from a law enforcement standpoint, this is one of them. Just like Kendall Pond, they cut across there. Same thing. I can tell you all the ones in town. And if you did this, it could help alleviate the problems that the residents have. Not every resident's going to love it. They'll come in here and say it's a dumb idea. I understand that too. But you can't have it both ways. You either put them up and we enforce it, or you listen to people complain and we do the best that we can.
So Chief, after we educate and we have to write citations, where does the revenue go?
Not one penny goes to us. It all goes to the state.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's no such thing as quotas, in case that was your next question.
No. Did anyone have anything further for the chief? I was just going to say, Tony, while I admire your PhD, I would like to hear from Mr. Trottier on this, just because he does have a degree.
He's already been on record. Yeah. But his PhD wasn't in common sense. He has just a master's degree in common sense.
He's got a stamp.
Mr. Trotty.
He's got a PE stamp.
That's why I'm called a civil engineer, Tony.
Civil engineer.
Civil engineer.
Mr. Trotty, good
Very
evening.
civil.
I disagree with placing a four-way stop there.
Thank you.
You're coming down Gilchrist Road at about a 6% grade, so not only in the winter time, coming down the hill, but going up the hill, you're gonna have the same problem of getting going from a stop condition going up the hill. Coming down, we're gonna be replacing that guardrail pretty frequently.
Okay.
We do it now, you know. Again, I understand again the residents' concerns. I was at the meetings, I heard them all. But again, placing stop signs is not the way to slow people down. People get complacent on it. It was a totally different application in the village. You were trying to deter the people from going through the village. You're not gonna deter the people going here, because then they're gonna stop, then they're just gonna punch it, because they lost, you know, some time. That's my opinion.
Thank you. Thank you. So my thought is, if we put it up, it doesn't work out, take it out.
Might be able to take it out before the winter.
I guess I have some thoughts on this. I mean, sitting on the planning board, I hear a lot of traffic, not only on this road, but in other places in town. Sitting in traffic safety committee, sometimes I hear some complaints from residents. I think this is like the foundation of a house. When you have your infrastructure in town that are your roads, and I think these are things that we need to have a deeper look into. It's something that I've kind of passionate about and really been proposing. We need to do traffic studies and find out how we're going to plan our entire infrastructure of roads out for this town. And while this may address these residents, they could cut through on the next road down. They could back up, because some of the complaints were at the light at the end of this road. People couldn't get left because traffic was backed up, and they couldn't get out because a stop sign is going to increase that. I want to help solve their problem, but I want to make sure that we're doing this in a well thought out manner and in a systemic manner where we're taking into account the entire grid of the infrastructure. So that's where I feel like we should not gut reaction on this and really look at everything. And I think it's going to address a lot of people's problems in town with a lot of places, but how, you know, what roads would need to be bigger, what roads would be, lots of different solutions.
If I may, Mr. Chair, not to respond directly to the need for a stop sign here, but I agree entirely with your sentiments, Councilor Faber. One of the things that I think, you know, and I hear about this at least 2 or 3 times a week. I think you all hear about it at least 2 or 3 times a week. Nobody's generally satisfied with the state of traffic flow and safety in town. I haven't met that person yet. And I do think we need to take a comprehensive approach that requires funding. And one of the things that I've been talking about a little bit is considering whether we create a traffic study, traffic improvement, traffic safety revolving fund or expendable fund like we do for other infrastructure, town infrastructure, and we fund it every budget cycle, because we don't have necessarily the resources for some of this. I mean, traffic studies are expensive, stoplights are expensive, but it would be nice to have the ability to do some of these things when we identify them. So I agree entirely with that, and think it's something we should look at.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. I mean, it's definitely something to discuss during the budget season. You know, I would encourage you to you know, us definitely as a council with partnership with you to have more conversations about that. Sean, regarding, you know, this specific, I understand the need not to address every resident that comes in with traffic, because a traffic concern, because I think everybody could have a concern with on any street, regardless if it's a feeder or a side or a dead end or a cul-de-sac or what have you. I think what makes this this specific one unique is the fact, as stated previous in the meeting, there's a development on the south end of there's a lot of development south of 102, between south and 102. And specifically the east side of Gilchrist, just by south, the apple orchards that was referenced earlier, as well as the one across the street. And I think that this is a cheap and easy, as our director of DPW had stated, an easy thing to do. And I think it would be, I don't want to say a Band-Aid, that's not what I'm trying to say, but I think it would probably help mitigate some of the concerns. I do have a concern, as John Trottier mentioned, with the traffic, with the slope and stuff. But I guess my thing is, why not try it and see, and also work on putting together a more comprehensive plan on some of the other items and concerns regarding traffic. You know, Mike brought up a good point as well.
I'm just worried about those unintended consequences. That's where I know we should look at something. I don't know if this is the exact thing, and that's.
Go ahead, Dave.
Just to be clear, because I don't want to have any confusion between my answer and what John is saying. To put up 2 stop signs is, a little bit of sledgehammer work and whatnot, and some paint on the road. Do I agree with this being a 4-way stop? No, I do not. There is a much heavier lift that potentially should be done first, which would be a new geometrical design of that intersection, so that it would be a safe 4-way stop based upon speed and known speeds. So I just had you on the side of caution about just putting up stop signs to stop traffic or try to, put a pause. And if it upsets people, it doesn't work out, we take them down. There's a lawyer in the room too. I'm not sure if it's a PhD or whatnot, but there's liability to that.
The legal doctor.
Yeah.
He's not our lawyer.
Yeah.
So we're clear about that.
Yeah. So, when you do things like that, you can't use the motoring public as a guinea pig. You better have a better answer for a lawyer if a serious accident happens there, possibly in the winter, that, we didn't realize that was going to happen. We did it to make the people in the neighborhood happy, and that cost somebody a life or some serious, money with an accident, or the guardrail's taken out a bunch of times. How many times is too many before we have to replace that guardrail? Before we say, wow, we've spent $35,000 replacing guardrail over the last few months. Well, let's take the stop signs out. That's not a good application for stop signs. There's a reason why, to use John, that he harps about the manual. And there's a reason there's the manual. And there's a reason that we have geometrical designs of intersections and grades, and you don't, whether you're going uphill or downhill, there's a reason why there's no stop signs there. So to just do the minimum, which is bang in a breakaway, put a stop sign up, paint a stop bar, and let's see how it goes, I would be very cautious to the board about making that kind of decision at your level before, you didn't thoroughly vet it out, or, at least look at the engineering of that intersection and whatnot. So I understand how some of the applications have been going, and we're hearing more and more calls for stop signs, but there's a common thread in a lot of all of this, and that's speed. Speed in town is a factor. Every single time we're talking about stop signs, speed is usually the number one thing at the forefront of what people are talking about. I know there's a lot more volume in town, so we need to be careful about what we mean by when we say traffic. I think what we're talking about is volume. The volume is going to increase on this road. I've lived on this end of town for 25 years. I've seen the volume of traffic increase as well as speed. And is the volume going to increase? Yes. Now we have 2 new developments coming in up the top, and in my discussions with Tony, was, perhaps that's the right area where it's a straightaway, there's no line of sight issues, there's going to be a new 4-way stops there. Perhaps that's the area that's best served to put in its new construction, and you look at it from that standpoint, and that's where you create it. Does that provide you any relief downhill from there? I'm not sure. I'm not a traffic engineer, but that's where you use your, summations from the reports to find out if that's going to give them the relief that they need at Tokenol and at Ross. And the other thing I would offer too is that people talk about, I've lived in town X amount of years or 2 weeks or whatever, and everybody's comfortableness of coming out of their neighborhood is certainly a lot different today than it was when they moved to town 40 years ago. Okay, we all react a little bit slower. We all maybe drive a little bit slower. Our vision may be impaired a little bit more. So it's not necessarily that they can't get out of those roads, because obviously they can. It may take them a little bit longer. It may be a little bit outside of their comfort zone, as it was not, back, 20, 30 years ago. And I'm not trying to be, heartless here. I understand the concerns. But the roads are engineered and designed safe. But the volume has changed. And so, yes, it does need to be looked at and addressed. But I get very nervous when I, listen to us talk about just popping up stop signs, and let's see how it goes, and we'll react to whatever it may do. That's not a good way to do your traffic control plan, so.
Thank you. So,
Okay, thank you.
throw it back to the council. What do you want to do?
Well, based on all this, it's not that, I agree with the total traffic plan. I've agreed since 1999 when I joined the planning board. I agreed when I left the planning board at 2011. I agree today. It's been 25 years we don't have a total traffic plan. In that time, we have rebuilt Page Road and the intersection up there. It was $250,000. Today, it's $750,000. So, maybe as everyone did, good points brought up about stop signs and everything. Also, a good point brought up about speed. Why don't we just lower the speed limit to 30 miles an hour?
That doesn't necessarily slow people down.
Well, they're supposed to go slower.
Yeah.
But it gives the neighborhood some relief. It makes it an enforcement issue. Absolutely. It gives them some immediate relief. Shows that we're paying attention. And then lets these projects come about and see if the non-common sense PhD engineers can come up with a better solution. These people are looking for some relief.
Yeah.
What's the length of road from South Road up to 102? Do we know? Approximately. It doesn't have to be
Well, you
exact.
can do that right on the GIS.
Yeah, I got it.
Could you go to themes and then go to topography, and you'd see the big issue,
I can only do one thing at once, Ann.
Excuse me.
The whole length of road to South Road, or to Tokenau?
To the intersections, 0.31 miles. 0.3 miles. Okay. 0.3 of a mile.
From Gilcrest or
From south
Road?
to Tokenau
Yep.
is 0.3 of a mile.
And that road, Gilcrest South, as it was called, is,
From
is,
south
a,
to
is a
102.
mile.
Mile. Okay.
So,
And what's the speed limit currently?
35. I mean, we did it on High Range Road. We've done it on Litchfield Road.
Yeah.
The problem is
Town of Hudson has done it throughout the entire town, except for state roads.
on high range, it doesn't work.
Well,
People do 50.
they used to do 60.
Okay.
I mean, it used to be, sadly, it used to be worse.
it's down here.
It's that,
Why is she?
Ann, thank you.
Mr. Chair, could I speak for a minute?
Please.
When we were discussing this application, I can't remember if it's Boston Ave or Albany Ave. I think it's Boston Ave, that the exit to one of these developments would come out to. And we had discussed a four-way stop sign there as well when the time had come. I have to say, I agree with both Dave and John's concern about, what's gonna happen if we put a sign there. To your point, Sean, especially it being on a hill. I think ultimately what we're looking to do is get people to stop, to create a little bit of breathing room in between cars here. So, would it be reasonable to say when this development comes about, we put the four-way right there at Boston and Gilcrest, where you're very flat. Again, I certainly don't have a PhD, but a reasonable solution, and yes, it's not on Tokenau Drive, but it's still gonna get traffic to stop, 40% of the way through this road instead of having the ability to drive at the same rate of speed from the north end of Gilcrest to the south end of Gilcrest. Would that be a reasonable solution? Is it reasonable to, in the meantime, put a three-way stop sign there and see if there's any alleviation in traffic? To the Director of Public Works' point. It doesn't cost a ton of money to put up a stop sign and throw some paint on the ground. But I think to both of their points, they're gonna feel much safer in a road condition that is like that, or they'll be more comfortable with it, where it's a relatively flat area, than they will at what's essentially the base of a hill where Tokenhill is. You know,
And
the-
is that a reasonable solution?
Boston Ave is roughly in the middle.
Yeah,
of-
it's like
of the
right there.
two.
It's probably 45% of the way through that road.
I mean, what's the council's thoughts about lowering the speed limit and putting an intersection?
I'm fine with lowering the speed limit. I just think they need some relief. I've had many residents contact me that they're very upset they can't get out of there, out of that road.
I would go with lowering the speed limit too. I'm not really in favor of just arbitrarily putting stop signs in, as both our town staff have stated.
So two lower, John?
Can live with whatever you guys want to do. They want some relief.
I would agree with the lowering. I personally would like to see an intersection there. I'm also willing to hear, to get some more facts. I think we talk about that a lot from the dais is facts. I mean, Chief Bernard stated, you know, there's accidents there on that road, and that, you know, that area there always there is. So what do you need from us to move forward with just and you mentioned the last traffic safety committee meeting, we need to revise ordinance
Correct. So I think that
to adjust the speed.
you need to direct me to prepare the regulatory changes to implement this change. I do think it's worth looking at this traffic safety code, as I flagged in the traffic safety meeting. It's saying it was last updated in 2007.
Yeah.
My guess is that there are some roads in town that are marked as 30 miles an hour that may not be on this list. So let's do it. Let's do an inventory, make sure we have this right, amend it to include the new 30 mile an hour limit on Gilchrist. But just understand that is an ordinance change, and it's going to require the usual process before the town council.
Notice, public hearings and
Yeah.
such. Do you
Gotta
need a
start the
motion or
process somewhere.
direction?
I'm sorry?
You need a
nothing further.
motion or direction?
That's
All right.
sufficient. Thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Order 2024-08, an expenditure from the Maintenance Trust from Dave Wally, Director of Public Works. Sir, good evening.
Good evening. The heat is taking a toll on some of our HVAC systems, specifically for the fire department. The rest of the buildings have been doing okay, gratefully. So,
Real quick,
Yeah.
Dave. Never mind, please continue.
Yeah.
My apologies. I thought you were on the other ordinances, but you're not, so please continue. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
So, we had an issue down at the South Fire Station, Station 2, where the 19-year-old mini-split system went down. We did some minor repairs, but within 2 hours it was down again. And so ultimately, due to its age and the old refrigerant R22 in there, we made the decision to change it immediately. Got a quote from E&E and got them on it right away because of the heat that we're in and the portion of the building. It was essentially the core of the fire department. So I believe I included in your packets an email from Battalion Chief Kamir on that as well. The effect it was having on that facility. And then, as luck would have it, on Friday, after I had already submitted this paperwork, we had an issue at Station 1, the North Station, that the motherboard on that 12-year-old unit, which is a Sanyo unit, though, had failed. Costly part, estimated $2,000 to $3,000 for the part and then install. So we went ahead and had them prepare us a quote for replacing that one. And that one, though, is going to be a little less expensive. It is a 410A refrigerant line, so we don't have to replace the lines like we did in the South Fire. So I quickly, since 4 o'clock today, just updated the packet thanks to Cameron. So hopefully you have the correct amount in there. So for both units, we're looking for $18,065 to replace both. One is done. I have not given them approval for the one at North Fire yet, but
All right, so these for the two AC mini splits, one in North and one in South Station.
correct.
Any discussion from the council? Seeing none, I'll accept the motion to adopt order 2024-08.
So moved.
A motion from Ron, a second from Sean. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes in the affirmative. Thank you, Dave.
And if you don't mind, Mr. Chair, too, I'd be remiss if I did not mention, I probably should have done this at the beginning of the meeting in public comment, but we have a retiree. His last day is this Friday. His name is Bill Payson. He's a heavy equipment operator. He's been with our department as of this month, 28 years of service with our department. He's the second most senior person in our department, and fairly private person. And so similar to what the police department just went through, but I just wanted to at least make sure that the council was aware of, provided a nice certificate for him, and we'll have a small gathering with the DPW personnel this week. But I just wanted to thank him for 28 years of service, so.
The council thanks as well, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Order 2024-09, expenditure of roadway maintenance trust funds. Director of Engineering, John Schrod here. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. This evening, I'm here to request release of expenditure of up to $173,000 from the roadway maintenance trust fund. You may think $173,000 won't get us very far. It won't. We still have other line items from our highway maintenance line items that we're adding to this. We're adding this to those line items. So we're going to be expending about $950,000. About 3.6 miles of roadway that we're looking to shim and overlay.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion from the council? Seeing none, I'll accept the motion to adopt order 2024-09.
So moved.
A motion from Ron, second from Sean. John, thank you very much for the hard work that you're doing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Order is adopted or approved. All right, order 2024-10, an order relative to withdrawal of the cable equipment capital reserve funds. The Director of Finance, Mr. Campo, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. This is the school district's annual request for their $8,000 appropriation. As you're well aware, we have the warrant article on the ballot that is for $32,500. Per our agreement with the school district, $8,000 of that goes to them. You will see the list of items they'll be purchasing with it.
All right, so you're looking for totally, as you stated, 8,000. Any discussion from the council? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion to adopt order 2024-10.
So moved.
A motion, a second from Ron and then Sean. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes in the affirmative. Thank you, Mr. Campo.
Thank you, Justin.
Mike, I do need a copy of that to sign.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Resolution 2024-22, establishing a fee schedule for photocopying and scanning. Administrative Support Coordinator, Cheerson Hildenan. Good evening.
Good evening. So I am actually not asking you for action on this evening. For context of this resolution, we're planning to bring a resolution in front of you for a first hearing in August, but it's kind of two parts to it. So I wanted to start by putting this in front of you in the interest of transparency, in the interest of public, giving the public a chance to give some feedback on it. So as you may or may not know, the New Hampshire legislature and Governor Sununu signed House Bill 1002 this past June. That goes into effect on August 13th. It permits towns to collect charges for 91A expenses under a very, very specific set of circumstances. And as part of that, we're required to come up with a policy under which case we would charge. Now, that policy is what the second half of this that we're going to be bringing before you in August. So it's going to be all one policy. But as part of that standardized fee schedule for charging for 91A things, we realized that it's not only 91A situations where you need to create, print, scan photocopies, digitally transfer information for people. To give you some context, we had somebody come in when I was down in the clerk's office to Carol and basically insist to her that she plug in her personal flash drive and download something from the voting system onto it. And was like, well, Hudson and Raymond did it for me. And I was like, okay, here is our supervisor, the checklist email. Please contact her. There's a state fee schedule for this. We've also had people just simply ask for photocopies of large documents. And they're just like, I just would like a copy of this. And so this resolution that we're bringing before you, it should have said draft, and that's my fault. We wanted to kind of introduce you to the numbers, see what you thought before we presented a more final one.
So, Kirsten, just so I'm of understanding, so there was a state law that was passed.
Yep.
Introducing fee schedules. You wanted to push this out to the public as soon as possible, create awareness, and,
Yep.
and there might be questions and stuff, and then come the August meeting, would be more of a formal presentation with first readings and such, public hearings and,
Yep.
and what have you. All right, so I mean, I don't really have anything beyond this as a council.
I'd just like to say, I'd like to suggest that maybe the first 10 pages are free, and then you charge after that. Like if someone comes down here and they just want to get a copy of something, I mean, I don't know, I would just suggest maybe there's a the first 10 copies are free, or the first so many copies are free, and then after that you pay.
What does the legislation say? Does
Yeah.
it leave it completely
Yeah,
up
we
to
have to
us?
be in compliance.
Is it all or nothing?
So the legislation actually deals very, very narrowly with the number of communications over 250 communications. You can charge up to $1. What this part of the fee schedule is really representing is when people want to change the form in which the information exists. And in truth, for example, for a current 91A request, it would impact very little. But if somebody wants an electronic copy of a document that only exists in physical form, that's when this would kick in.
Okay.
Or if somebody wants a photocopy of a document that only exists in physical form and they don't want to take a picture of it, they want us to make a physical copy, or if they want us to print out the entire request. So that's it. And actually that's probably a very, very narrow percentage of our 91As now and moving forward. It's just, and part of the reason we want to do this is we want to be fair and we want to be consistent across the board. We don't want to seem capricious. We don't want to seem unfair or discriminatory, because we're not. We just really want to make sure that with these extraordinarily large ones, sometimes we get requests over 1,000, 1,500 documents, that we're permitting, the town to not pass that cost on to the other taxpayers.
All right.
So-
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the two counselors brought up
Thank you.
some valid points, and we'll look forward to that presentation in August, Sean.
Another thought I've had on this, and this is just for consideration, I don't know, in context of HB 1002, it's something I actually proposed as an amendment as that was coming through, is geographically, I think the Londonderry taxpayer versus an out-of-state agency who wants a 2,000-page document is two totally different things. And I think the information for our own taxpayers, I don't mind providing that information, but for someone out of town that wants to incur a cost on our taxpayers, I think that is a different situation.
Okay.
Right.
Awesome. I will take those notes and we'll bring the final resolution before you. It'll have the same number on August 12th. August, that's what's next month is? Yes, August 12th. Thank you.
Thank you. And
Thank
don't
you.
go anywhere. I think you're up next
am.
with our.
Oh, you get lots of me for the rest of the meeting. You're good. I'm just going to
Assistant
camp out here.
Recreation Director Doug Cole. Real quick, I should have mentioned this in public comment. I just wanted to thank you both, really, for putting in the effort for the playground. I know Vice Chair Combs had initially brought up some updates on the playground, do some public concerns and stuff, and both of you, and especially Doug, but I know you both worked on it. I wanted to personally thank you for the hard work that you did, getting it up to speed, working with our insurance provider to make sure it's safe, to finding reasonable rates to bring in, and negotiating wood chips and stuff. And that really meant a lot to me as a taxpayer, but also me as a parent, as well as a counselors on the council. So thank you both for the work that you put in. I know that we had several police officers that were present, and we had the football team, the Londonderry High School football team present. And how many yards of bark mulch was it?
So it was 150 yards.
So 150 yards. I believe it was a couple tractor trailer trucks worth of two tractor trailer trucks worth of bark mulch. I do know we do have a resident that did spread out a lot of it through their Kubota or their small front end loader. So thanks to that person who was asked to remain anonymous. Thank you for that work. And just greatly appreciated. So with that, we do have we are looking for an update on Old Home Day. So I'll turn it over to you both. Thank you.
Perfect. Actually, so I was gonna kind of throw the thanks back as well for the volunteer day that happened on Saturday. So I mean, it was well represented not only by our department, by members of town council, Londonderry PD, as well as the Londonderry Police Association, as you mentioned, the Lancer football team, families here in town, our recreation commission. So we're very thankful and grateful. It was done in record time, which was amazing too. Saved our backs, I'm sure, as the day went on.
45 minutes.
45 minutes.
I think
Timed out.
I think the quote that I said was, "Don't lift with your back, lift with your
That's
Lancer
right.
football
Yeah,
players."
No
So,
doubt. 17 of them showed up and made it look easy. So,
thank you.
and just extended to Dave Wally and DPW
Yes.
for all the work they've done up there clearing out the new entryway to the playground, and we're gonna kind of make that a new special spot up there as well. So they've done a lot of hard work, and it shows. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, your presentation.
Okay, so we're just up here to talk a little bit about Old Home Day because the next meeting that the council has is the week of Old Home Day. So we wanted to make sure you all knew what was going on this year. This year is the 125th anniversary of Old Home Day. Old Home Day was created in 1899 by Governor Frank Rollins as a way to attract New Hampshire's, as he said, sons and daughters back to the state to visit the town where they came from and celebrate it. Londonderry was one of 44 towns to celebrate that year in 1899 and has been celebrating every year that there has been one since. So it's a tradition that we're incredibly proud of here in the town. As you all well know, especially Councillor Farrell, who's been part of this for going on 30 years, if I'm not mistaken. So just a couple of quick updates. We are being extraordinarily careful with parking and on Saturdays. So one thing we want people to know of early is that we've moved the accessible parking for Saturday across the street to the Methodist Church. We're going to say that often. We've moved it away from the Presbyterian Church so we can keep that section of Pillsbury Road closed. We talked a little bit about traffic safety concerns earlier in the day. That was also a concern for Old Home Day as well. It runs from August 14th to August 17th. It is the themed Blast from the Past, celebrating the history of Old Home Day in Londonderry this year. August 14th, we have very familiar activities. We have the senior bingo and barbecue. We have the concert on the Common with the Beatles tribute band that the Arts Council puts on. And then we also have the LPA, Londonderry Police Association, movie night out here, and the movie this year will be If. Thursday, Battle of the Bands, Serge Bolo is running that again. And we have another event that Doug's going to talk about in a minute. And then Friday, we have another event Doug's going to talk about in a minute, a little bit shaky up there. And then we also have the food truck and fireworks show. We currently have almost 25, we have 24 food trucks signed up with more coming in. So it promises to be just as enormous as last year. And then Saturday, we have events all day. The big ones, of course, are the baby contest, the parade, the booths on the Common, and which is really a misnomer because it runs from the Lions Hall all the way down to the Historical Society, including a touch-a-truck that is going to be at Orchard Christian this year. We have one new event to go into that this year, and that is a dedication at Valley Cemetery at 4:30 on Saturday for the graves of the Sons of the American Revolution. Revolutionary veterans by the Sons of the American Revolution. Sorry, that was a lot of words for 8:30 at night. And special thanks to Dave Wally and Public Works for making Valley Cemetery look really nice in advance of this. And then, of course, the day ends with the Boot Scootin' Boogie and Brewfest put on by John Mortimer as Millennium Running down at the Laffa Fields. So one thing I want to highlight for any of our senior citizens is that the senior bingo and barbecue tickets are available now for pickup at the senior center only this year. So go see Alona if you'd like them. I'm going to pass on to Doug to talk about our new stuff.
Thank you. So as mentioned, on Thursday, we're going to be adding a new event. We're going to be adding a color run, which is going to be open to residents of all ages and families. That's going to be taking place at Laffa as well. The race will take place from 5:30 to 6:30. And it's going to be a quarter-mile course. So the map and more information will be going out in coming weeks for all those families that are registered. It'll be available on the Facebook page as well. Registration is open online on using our myrec.com platform, so families can register there. They can also come by the office and fill out one of the forms if they wish to do so. There's separate fees for that, so it's either $15 per person or $45 max for a family. So, and they can register right online, and we'll get all those names and everything collected too. So we'll have a good idea of the head count. It opened on July 8th, so we actually already have a number of families that have signed up for that event. The deadline will be that day at 5:15, just before the race. So we'll have a booth there, or a table as well that people can register for. That event will include a DJ, refreshments, and plenty of color packets that each individual will get on their own. So we'll have stations throughout as people go and run the course for those that aren't familiar with a color run. And we encourage everybody to wear white so that it shows up the best when you're actually doing the actual race and course. And hopefully we'll get not only great photos, but a great time for everybody that does participate in that. On Friday, as mentioned, there's a little bit of shakeup with the annual softball game that has taken place. This year, we're trying to host a softball tournament between 4 teams. So those teams are still coming together. We should have those finalized this week. Some of that has been up in the air as we're waiting for names and rosters to come in. So we had pitched the idea of a home run derby in case we don't get enough teams that do sign up, as well as the initial game that typically does take place each year. So that will be posted as well, and we'll hopefully have some promotional material that goes out as we lead up and draw excitement hopefully for that game. And then just in general, not only for the Saturday's events, but for the color run, we are always in need of volunteers. So anybody that is interested, we encourage them to reach out to us. They can contact us through the website or online Facebook page. We do need them for the color run. We need them for Saturday's events, all the many things that we have going on. So anybody that's willing to help, we obviously appreciate it. So thank you.
So I will say nobody wants to play against the police, and all of the police want to play. So it's no fun to tease them when they're not here, though. So do you folks have any questions for us?
John, I know you've been the liaison on the Old Home Day for many years. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I got a briefing on Thursday, so other than what I shared with you guys, I don't really have anything else to.
Perfect. Thank you. Any questions from the council? No. Good work to you and those are working on it, as well as John. Thank you for your continued dedication to make this amazing. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So with that, I'll accept the motion to go in the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from John, a second from Ron. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are in public hearing. Folks, this is a public hearing. Resolution 2024-15, adoption of the New Hampshire Paid Family and Medical Leave Policy. Mr. Town Manager, your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So these can really be considered together. I'm here on these items tonight because the council had the foresight to be one of the first municipalities in New Hampshire to adopt the New Hampshire Paid Family Leave Program. We are joining some of the other large municipalities and the state that offer this program, and the hope is that it will not only support our employees during the beginning of life, the end of life, and everything in between with respect to protected leaves where there is not currently a wage replacement option. And some of those leaves are, for example, bonding with a newly adopted or a child that has been born. Protected leave under FMLA, but no wage replacement in certain circumstances. So this policy that I've talked to the council about before allows employees to opt in at a very reasonable premium. And in order to do that, we need the council to adopt the paid family and medical leave policy, and that's 2024-15. And then we need to make a slight tweak to our currently existing FMLA policy that just talks about how these leaves are handled. I'm happy to answer any of the council's questions. I guess the other thing I meant to mention is, again, this allows us to treat our employees right, the way that they deserve. It also allows us to attract and retain quality employees. So it's one of those benefits that we could talk about to try to do that.
Any initial questions before I go to the public from the council? All right, folks, we're in public comment. Are there anyone that would like to talk regarding both of these resolutions, 2024-2415 and 16? Seeing none, we'll go back to the council. Can you, yeah,
I was going to motion for approval.
thank you. Can we have a motion for both at once?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll second.
So John has a
So I'm going
motion.
to motion for 15 and 16.
All right. and
I'll
the
second.
Second from Ron. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes in the affirmative.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. All right.
Close the public hearing.
Thank you. I'll
second that.
A motion to close in a second from John and Ron respectively. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes no. Chair votes in the affirmative. We are out of public comment. Old business remaining and amending the charge for the Lions Hall Study Committee to the Reverend Morrison Meeting House Study Committee. So just as a reminder for those who are in the audience and those who are watching, not to steal Cheerson's thunder, but originally the council, during our prior meeting, had this a charge that we adopted. And just to remind you all, there was some conversation and some concern about, some of the specifics in it. Maybe we should update, maybe we should revise. The decision ultimately from the council was to move forward with this charge. And they have had a couple meetings since then and have proposed some changes from to the council for a name and charge revision. So with that, Ms. Hilden, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So at the July 2nd meeting, the Lions Hall Study Committee voted unanimously to recommend to the council that the committee's name be changed to the Reverend Morrison Meeting House Study Committee to better reflect the historic name of the building. And so that is the request from the committee that I bring before you. And then I am also here asking the council what they would like to do because, as the chair said, you wanted to do some amending to the charge. So I'm here to find out what you would like to do.
So I attended the meeting. A big part of the reason why they want to change the name is from a fundraising standpoint, to disassociate it from the Lions Hall and to reassociate it as the historic property of the town.
Yep.
Does anybody have the charge? I'll try to remember what the changes were that they wanted to do. I didn't know I'd need to know that.
So the only change on the charge
Proposed
is
change.
the name, and then I am happy to make what other changes you so request tonight.
Is there any proposed changes that the now the Reverend Morrison Meeting House Study Committee?
So the main thing missing from here is that they we need to figure out how to say this, is that the charge is to find the most economical path to put the building back in service. And we don't say that here anywhere. So we need to put something in here that says that the charge and the expectation for October 1st is to come back with the most economical and efficient path to put the building back in service and what that usage, the proposed usage will be. That's the main thing missing.
Okay.
Yeah, and just to amplify that, Councilor Farrell was at that meeting. I was at that meeting as well. I think there was a recognition that, the committee couldn't do everything by October 1st, but the direction from the council was really clear that step one is to figure out how to get that back in service. And that was a lot of the conversation. I think the conversation also, Councilor Farrell, was just a recognition that This committee may well go on beyond October 1st. It does not necessarily go away on that date, but task one is to do that.
All right, so what do you need from us to, do you need us to vote on the adoption? Do you want do you need a consensus?
I am happy to take a consensus on both, and we'll work that in.
I'm good with it.
Yeah.
Good with
The
that?
council was clear, the motion was very clear, so we can definitely work that in.
So putting in and as the most important thing, as Councilor Farrell indicated, so after the first three tasks there, which are simply formative, put the next line to be, find the most economical and efficient way to put the Reverend Morrison Meeting House building back into service and determine its immediate
It
future
includes
use,
core functions or core usage.
core usage for the immediate future.
It's a committee, not a task force, right?
It is
a committee.
currently.
And we can
yes.
just change it on the fly. We don't need a vote.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I mean,
that
we just wanna
sentence
make sure
is
they understand what our expectations are.
perfect. So I will amend that charge and then post the amended charge on their page and change their name.
One thing I shared with them when I was at the meeting is I told them, I said, we need to be careful not to turn this into a science project and not into a historic project, because it is neither. It is that we need to find a path so that we can go to budget this year and know what to do. Because, and I think the other thing I said to them was, is that every minute it remains closed, it deteriorates.
Mr. Chair, may I just ask council if there's anything remaining in that, in light of focusing this mission? Is there anything in lines 4 through 10 that you would like to strike or remove, that the council would like to remove?
I'm good with it.
I'm good with it.
I'm good with it.
Okay,
All right.
awesome. I
Anything
will
else?
do that and relay it to the committee.
Real quick, anything else from the council regarding this?
No.
I'm good.
All right. Thank you, Chairson. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Town Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Approval of minutes, June 17th, 2024, council minutes. So I have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
I have
Second.
a motion from Sean, a second from Ron. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes in the affirmative. Thank you. Liaison reports.
None from me.
You heard Old Home Day.
We did. All right. Town manager report.
Yeah, several items tonight, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Keeping an eye on the drought status. As the council knows, there is a drought ordinance that allows the council to institute restrictions. Right now, most of Rockingham County is unusually dry, but we're not in drought at the moment, so just wanted to report on that. Just to amplify some of the comments about the field day, I really extend my thanks to Kirsten Hilden and to Doug Cole as well. You know, we don't do social media for its own sake. We do social media to reach the community, but it also provides us with data about what the community is interested in. And just as a measure of how that really resonated with the community, we had in the last week, we've reached just about 11,500 people with our social media. That is largely made up with the Old Home Day, the Field Day cleanup posts. So social media strategy is working, but also more importantly, the community strategy is working. So I wanted to highlight that. Speaking about interaction with the community, tomorrow is my second town hall event. First one was done at the Senior Center to be able to reach folks who might be there or might be home during the day. This one is in the evening, 6:30 tomorrow at the Leach Library. I'll field anybody's questions about anything. So I would encourage everybody to come down and hear a few updates that I'll provide, but then open it up for everybody's questions. I was really satisfied with the turnout, and the questions at the last meeting generated a lot of good feedback for us as well. As I reported earlier, Mr. Chair, members of the Town Council, we are essentially recording everything at this point in time. We're phasing in as meetings come up. They're being recorded. Again, it's not instantaneous, but we did record traffic safety tonight. That's a significant milestone because, to my knowledge, that meeting has never been recorded. There were a couple of comments made that I want to report on. You heard them too, Mr. Chair, because it really would be a council well, to some extent, a council awareness or a council decision. One was the frequency of the Traffic Safety Committee meetings. The sentiment that was expressed was those should occur more frequently. I don't have control over that. I'm not even sure the council has control over that. I think it's really up to the Traffic Safety Committee to decide if they want to do that. But I just flagged that for everyone's awareness. There was again discussion about the need for a Traffic Safety Committee liaison to the Planning Board and the ZBA. I'm not aware of anything that would prevent the Traffic Safety Committee from designating a liaison to attend and report back. If the council feels otherwise, let me know, but I will report that to the Traffic Safety Committee if that is their wish. A couple of other housekeeping items. There's a donation box in the hallway from Beacon Church. They are collecting supplies for teachers at Londonderry schools from now through the middle of August. And I want to report on an item that has been pending for a number of years and thank our IT staff, Doug and Tom, as well as Kirsten Hildenen for providing a lot of administrative support for this. And that is that we have switched over at Town Hall and the library to Office 365. This provides not only better functionality, user experience, really most importantly, and the reason that I supported this, and I think the council supported it financially in the past, has been security, cybersecurity. And so one of the things that we're implementing along the way is two-factor authentication. That's really the gold standard when it comes to these things, and other features as well. So I'm happy to report that that project is just about done. We are now in line with the fire department and the police department, so all town departments will shortly be covered in that regard. And that is all I have this evening, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Town Manager. Anything else from the council? No. Anything else from anyone else? Seeing none, I'll echo my comments that I had at the beginning during our moment of silence. I think that our country is on its way to being divisive, and I see it not just federal, I see it state, I see it municipal as well. And I don't want to get on a soapbox, but I just want to say that I really do think that we are an amazing community. I think that we have amazing residents. I think we have amazing staff. We have amazing supporters, and I want to highlight that, and I want us to work together collaboratively, and I think that we are doing that. We can always get better. So with that, I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion from Ron, and a second from Sean. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Good evening.